You're listening to BQN. Assimilate the audio. Well, hello there, listeners and live viewers. My name is Amy, and I'm so excited to welcome you to Let's Fly. And this exclusive limited run series by BQN will recap each of the episodes of Star Trek Discovery's final season. Every week, a panel of BQN hosts and Patreon subscribers will join our YouTube and Facebook live audiences to deep dive into each new episode after it airs. You can catch replays of both platforms, and an audio podcast will also be available. But wait, there's more. We want you to be a part of the show. For as little as $1 a month, you can join us on the panel as a BQN Network patron. As a patron, you can share your insights, ask questions, and contribute to our lively discussions. So if you're ready to get more involved, become a patron today. For everyone else, we welcome you and your comments in the live chat, and we will put them up on the screen as we go through. So without further ado, I would like to introduce today's panel. And with us today, I'm just going to bring them all on. We have, let me get them all on. Jonathan, hello.
Hello.
And Christos, welcome.
Hey there.
Jim, hello.
Hello.
Peter, welcome.
Hi, hello everyone. Hi.
And JJ.
Hello, everyone.
Oh my goodness. Well, we have a lot of people already in our chat. Oh my gosh, hello.
And one of them is Davey, I think, because Double T Media does say big love from Manchester.
Oh, what? Oh my goodness. There it is. Our boys in Manchester. Hello. And hello. Oh my gosh. I'm so excited. I think this is the most chat appropriate comments that we've had. Yay. Well, okay. Oh,
This should tell you what people think of Erigah.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Okay. Can we? Yes, we are jumping in. Discovery Erigah. Let's get your initial response. And Jim, let's start with you.
I for the most part actually did enjoy the episode. I liked finding out more about Locke's backstory, finding out more about the Breen. I'm losing words here. I just enjoyed the episode as a whole.
Very good. And Peter, what about your initial thoughts?
Similar to Jim. Enjoyed the more reveals related to the Breen. This was more of a diplomacy or diplomatic theme episode. So I know Star Trek explores that diplomacy episodes from time to time. So I felt this was that version of that for season 5, and also like the sort of a lot of the returning guest stars. So we several guest stars that I'm sure we'll dive into a little bit more return after being away for at least a few weeks, maybe a few months or longer. So it was nice to see them again. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
All right, JJ, how did you like Erigah?
I liked it. I felt like it had a lot of energy. It was very cinematic, in my opinion. It kind of matched up with the very first episode. It was very enjoyable. I've actually watched it 1.5 times. I didn't get to complete the second time, but yeah.
Yeah, now I know that we've had difficulty trying to at least get one watch in before Let's Fly. Very good. Jonathan, now we know that you watched a lot. How many times have you watched it and what was your initial response?
So I got 2.5 watches. 2.5. I feel bad I didn't get to finish it a third time.
Oh,
But
shame
I
on
really,
you.
I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a good classic Star Trek story, heavy on the diplomacy, and we'll get more into that a little bit later. But I love the way that carries out, and I thought it was also like a fun episode. The moment you hear Jet Reno's going to be coming up, you're like, oh yes, this is great, awesome. It's we're in for some fun. So it was a great episode all around.
Very good. And Christos, your thoughts?
I really like this episode. I mean, anytime you're gonna bring in diplomacy and give me Reno and Serena in one episode in big doses, I'm gonna be happy. But I felt like it was a big action episode. It moved fast, and I kind of think it sets up what's going to be the next 3 episodes. Like the finale, right? It's like, here we go, or let's fly.
Yes. Yeah. I feel like we had a little slump. I mean, this is my personal opinion, but this episode, I was loving every storyline. I felt like the pacing was perfect for each little story part. They all combined together. I am back on board. I am loving. I really feel that this is going to be the best season of Discovery.
Yeah, I have to ask, Amy, were you disappointed that the next clue that the next piece of the puzzle wasn't on Beta Z?
Well, I mean, there's definitely connections to it, so we will see where that library book takes them.
Yeah.
It might end up on Beta Z. That's right.
Yep.
Or am I wrong?
Yeah.
You never know.
No, it's going to be. Oh, did you? Well, Amy did not see the Ready Room, so
I know
she does
I haven't
not.
seen it.
I haven't seen the Ready Room
But
yet.
was it? It wasn't in the preview though. They mentioned they were heading for the Badlands.
Right. Yeah, they're going to the Badlands,
So-
but there's that connection to Beta Z.
Yeah, I just like that they said the clue, the library card as it's being referred to, is from 2371, I think, which would have been season 7 of TNG.
Interesting.
Well, that would've
Because
been-
go ahead, Jim.
No, that would have been like season. That would have been after TNG. That would have been like that would have been like into the movies even.
Well, it could be Generation, isn't? It's 2364 is Encounter at Farpoint.
Yeah, and
And-
2370 was season 7.
Okay, so right there, Generations last season, TNG.
Yeah. Yeah. Ooh, it's so exciting. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I've sort of set things up a little differently than Davey. Notice Davey's not here, and we love you, Davey. Yes, we know Double T Media. This is Davey. Hello. And I'm assuming you have Kelvin and James watching with you as well. So keep on putting those comments in the chat. We will get to them. So I'm going to sort of go over more of characters instead of stories because I like to discuss what the characters mean. And as Peter mentioned, we are getting some callbacks to some previous characters. And here we have Commander Non. And I love how she totally doesn't trust Booker. She totally gives a review of all of his crimes. You remember that Iridom or whatever, the bomb from season 4. And
Isolytic weapons.
Thank you. Thank you. So Commander Non, I was sort of surprised with seeing her because I remember her last going off with the Seed ship in season 3, but we did see her in season 4. So what were your thoughts, Jonathan, of seeing Commander Non? Were we surprised to see her?
A little bit. I like the way that they handled her scene, particularly, she's doing her job as a security officer. So she's standing up and essentially calling out Book for why she should not trust him. And then when he steps away, she turns to Michael and says well, yeah, I was taking it easy on him because I know how much he means to you.
Mm-hmm.
I love the way that handles because it does show she's got a job to do, but she's also cares about her friends, and that history is there.
Yeah. JJ, what did you think of Commander Non? Like, I almost felt like I wish we would have gotten a little recap of where she's been, because it's been a long time since we've seen her.
Yeah, it has been a minute since we've seen her, but it was nice to see her. I also liked that little, comment that she made to Book, and I really liked what she said to Burnham. Like, I know how much he means to her, and to me, that just signifies that maybe they're still going to get together. So, yeah.
Yeah. So, Peter, when she came on, like, she was like security, and I loved how she was like for sure on her job. Like, this is my prisoner. She's my responsibility, and like was taking ownership that she lost Maul, basically.
Yeah. I think it's sort of in a way, even though we've only seen her not that frequently, but each time she appears on Discovery, in season 4 and season 3, I think she kind of it's really the same person, and she's been growing. She's, taking her security job very seriously, thinking, what bad things can happen. So I think I kind of like that, that aspect of her. I did. Yes, we saw her in the beginning, and we saw her kind of towards the end. She really wasn't involved in the middle, so I wouldn't have minded having her have a couple of more scenes in the episode yesterday. But it was great to see her. I did not expect to see her. I was pretty surprised when she showed up, because I kind of avoided, but I didn't pick that up in any of the tweets or the social media, so I was pleasantly surprised. So it was really nice to see her, especially if this is the last season of the show. It was really nice to bring her back, at least one more time. Who knows, we may see her again in the next few weeks.
Right.
Yeah.
So, Christos, I was not expecting her, and especially when we are not seeing a lot of like our Owo, Detmer, they have been absent for a while, and then to all of a sudden have Non back in. I'm getting confused. Like, who are our supporting characters?
Well, I think it was said well on another podcast I heard this morning. It was like, there are no supporting characters in a sense. You know what I mean? Like, the worst thing they ever did was not make the bridge crew even more revolving, because they never really intended to flesh these people out. Because I think the reality is those actresses just had something else going on. The same way I think it was just revealed that Saru, what's his name? Doug Jones he was promoting Hocus Pocus 2 when these episodes were being filmed. That's why he's not in them. And so having Non back, I think, is great. I love that they didn't go into this big exposition of where she's been, because things are moving fast in this episode. And I hate when things are moving fast, but people have these sidebars in order to like fill the audience in. It's like, she's been working security for the Federation. That's all we really need to know. And I love that she's pushing back on Book, because Book walks around like everything is his business. And, the only weak part I have with this whole season is Book's connection to Maul, because he had his connection to the last season story with his planet being destroyed, and that motivated him for going rogue. And now he's got this relationship with Maul, and now he's already hinting that he's disagreeing. So I think Non is right to check him, because I don't think you can still fully trust that Book's going to listen and do what he's supposed to do. He's always going to have that rogue element.
So she definitely has the comment or the relationship with Burnham, and we've talked about like that's why I went easy on him. So, Jonathan, how do you feel that Non's character is fitting in, like walking in, and Book's trying to involve himself more than maybe he should be?
I think Book's trying to be useful. I mean, you got to understand, like, he technically doesn't have a job. He's a prisoner there on loan for this Red Directive. I keep forgetting that's what they call it. But since you had brought up Detmer and Owoshikun, it made me think in this episode, like, where the heck is this ship depot that they're taking the ship to? Like, where is this? How far away is it, and how are they getting back? So did make me think like what happened then. But Christos brought up an interesting point that apparently the actresses were working on other things at the time.
Mhm.
Just remember, the ISS Enterprise only has warp 7, so they can't get going as fast as the other ships.
Right. Well, yeah, and it's like, okay, so they take the ship, like Discovery could, get there in 1 second, pick them up, and then come back. Like the spore drive is instantaneous. Just saying.
Yeah, we don't know where the ship depot is that they keep referring to. One of the things with this episode, I felt like it raised some questions that never really got answered. So they mentioned twice about the Breen destroying a city in the Federation. What are they talking about?
Wasn't that in
Does
DS9?
anyone know?
Wasn't that San Francisco?
We have 900 years of history to put in. So, yes, I think sometime that happened. But
Yeah, that
not
didn't
Deep
bother me
Space
so
Nine.
much because of the 900 years.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I wanted to know more about that because they talked about it like, several times. Like, well, everyone knows what happens the first time the Breen came. It's like, no, I literally don't. Please fill me in.
That's what
Fill
the
me
books
in.
are
You
for.
told me that the city was destroyed.
Yeah, I
What
can
city?
say,
What planet? What
that's
happened?
why that's how Una McCormick has a job.
Right. Yes. Yes. Okay. So talking about the Breen, the Culber.
Maybe I have one other thing to say about
Yes,
Johnny
Jim.
quick. I just loved the fact that, like, when they had that fight scene, she was the one who held her own against Mal, probably the longest of anyone.
Mm-hmm.
So it showed, like, she is a really tough cookie when she has to be.
Agreed.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yes. So with Culber, I was so fascinated that he's like, well, I went and researched the Dominion War, which of course our
Mhm.
ears perk up.
Mhm.
And what an interesting concept. And I'm going to just ask, like, did you know in Deep Space Nine era that you could freeze or drop the temperature so that their bodies could repair? I found that so very interesting. And so they're like getting to Admiral Vance, like, we need these freezer things to come in so that we can, fix Locke. Like, was that like predominant or is this new information? Does anyone have a?
Wasn't there an episode where in Deep Space Nine where somebody made a remark about their suits and it was to keep them cold? I don't remember who said it. I think it was like Doug
I
Zia
vaguely
maybe or
remember
something like that.
Yeah, we have a comment there.
Yeah. So they're refrigerated, but is that because they're home planet or is this for like medical purposes?
Could be both. You never know.
Well, wasn't the I thought there were a few comments in the 90s Trek about the planet being cold.
Yeah.
So there was so I got the impression that like their home planet is just a frigid environment, and that might be where refrigeration suits come from.
Okay.
So
Christos?
two things. Kevin in the comments, I was right. The Breen attacked San Francisco back in DS9 and caused all that problems there. And secondly, I think it was also said in DS9 that the Breen don't have blood. They have something else. So we saw, what's his face, Locke bleed in the last episode, and they keep talking about blood oath and stuff. So I think there's a little bit of canon issue going on there. Anyways.
Yeah, and it was interesting that the Breen was like, well, it doesn't matter how much blood is spilled, but this is a blood oath and we need to fulfill it. And I was like, okay, come on. Jim, what were you going to say?
Be that they just do have blood, but the blood is so different from any other species blood that it might as well not be blood.
Maybe the composition's different. Like, to your point, like it's not, I'll buy that.
Okay, and then another thing that I feel I'm putting under Colbert's responsibility, why in the heck was Locke able to access a full day's worth of serum that just lifts up a panel and, oh, let me inject myself? Okay. Was I the only one who thought that?
Yeah.
I was under the assumption he shouldn't have been able to lift up that panel.
Thank you. Yes. Okay. So we're just going to let that fly. And okay, shame on you.
Well, I'm actually a little surprised, Amy, that you didn't immediately comment at the beginning of this about, the end of their love story, because you were so hopeful for Maul and Locke. And this was, for me, I was great. I was like, okay, proof to me that, like, he was the better one. She is evil, like, deserves to go away.
All that.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, I felt bad for him dying, but again, he sacrificed himself multiple times for her, completely unnecessarily.
Go ahead.
Don't call that love, but I think they're psychopaths. I mean, they're constantly they're like Bonnie and Clyde, and I do think that's the case. And there was a reference made that it was 2 years that I'm forgetting the Burnham's number one right now.
Rayner.
Say that again.
Rayner.
Yes, he had mentioned that he had been after these two for 2 years. So and that's just the time that he's been after him. So how long have these criminals, been on the run for, their crimes and everything they've done? That's not necessarily been made clear, but it's been a while. So these are not good people.
Yeah. Well, Kevin brings up a really good point. Non should have also inspected the medical security. There's two people failed in this. Christos.
She probably did. She probably did, but they probably underestimated the strength of the strength of Locke and the Breen.
Yeah. I can overlook a lot, but when she was out and fighting the 2 security guards and then Non, how come there was no one going, hey, ship locked down, prisoner loose? That was the first thing you would do, is just lock everything down.
Yeah,
and it's not even until Burnham comes back on the ship that they lock down the ship. It's like, come on.
Yeah.
I guess there's a lot of sloppy things in this
episode. The one
episode.
calling for a lockdown instead of trying to fight her himself.
Yeah, but I was very impressed with Colbert fighting her. I mean, that was some serious moves there, right, Peter?
That was entertaining.
Yeah. I think he lasted longer than I thought he would for a doctor. So I think for a security officer, you kind of expected it, but for a doctor, so I think he was good.
Yeah.
We've seen the doctors kick some butt in Star Trek.
I mean,
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Badass Bev got into a couple of fights.
So it was also, I thought, very convenient where Colbert's like, I don't have enough knowledge to help the Breen. If only we had a Breen doctor. And, here we have the Breen on board. I thought that was nice and convenient. All right. Well, next. Oh, yeah. Now I'm all out of order here. Okay, wait. Can we just spend a quick minute about Tarina? I am in love with her. She is so
competent.
Yes, and measured and efficient and
wise. She's
wise and listening to others. Okay, just talk to me about Tarina. Who would like to go first?
I love the fact that we saw her without Saru for probably the first time in maybe 2 seasons. It was amazing seeing her get a meaty role, no Saru in sight, and was already been said, shows her being an excellent fair politician, looking at all sides.
Yes, and did not have President Rillick there, which we miss, but we love seeing Tarina. Peter, what were your thoughts when you saw her?
Actually, very similar to Jim's comment. I think the, not having Saru there, not having Rillick there, I think she kind of for me, she was almost like the MVP of the role for this episode, because she really stood against the Primarch, the leader of the Breen, and she kind of had expressed use her Vulcan logic. I mean, she didn't, she was very calm, competent, forceful in her way, in her Vulcan way. So I think, and she was able to convince him to that this is a better plan. So it was really nice to see her, because we haven't seen her for a couple of weeks, so it was nice to see her. And I think she, the character kind of stepped out from just being sort of Saru's fiance, knowing her more of that,
Right.
but just she was she was the the head of the she was a diplomat, she was the leader even before they met. So it was nice to bring that back. So it was really one of the best parts of the episode.
Yeah, and you both bring up a really good point, that we get to see her without Saru, and sometimes there's just a tendency to couple them up, and then we lose their each individual identity. Christos, you made a comment in our Discord, which I'm just going to push out. We have an amazing Discord. You were talking about Tarina and like how logical she is.
Yeah, she just navigates her way through the episode in a way that Raynor thought she was being weak, but she's like, no, she's being so strong, and she pushes back on xenophobia, and we're not going to make these these overarching judgments. But when push came to shove, she also showed her backbone. I thought it was just really well done, and I think that Tara Rosling is such a good actress, and she plays the role so well. And I just, like I said, I think I said it in the Discord as well, I love seeing her, as president of Navarre, acting president of the Federation, and, having her own agency and not being Saru's plus one.
Yes. Jonathan, what were your thoughts about Tarina?
I just want to add on that. I think she also had a line that could only be delivered by a Vulcan, and she handled it perfectly, where she says something to the effect of articles of extradition need to be drafted and approved. That'll take 3 hours minimum. And then, they respond with, you have 1 hour. And, they close communications, and they look at her and like, what are you talking about? Well, I bought you an hour. Right. And
instead of saying tribbles have taken over.
And it's been better than, lying about a trouble infestation. So I just thought that was really well done, and like a line perfect for a Vulcan. And Tarina perfectly shows herself as a good substitute for the Federation president while the Federation president is traveling. At first I thought, well, that's a little odd that suddenly this person would be put in place. But I mean, after what happened at the end of the last season, it does logically make sense. And she proves herself that she's playing three-dimensional chess while everyone else is playing checkers. Raynor is angry, saying she's not doing enough, or she's like, I already understand where you're coming from. I've got that taken into place. And in that negotiation scene, she presents it like, here's what's going to happen. All right, well, second option, we're going to screw you over. It's like, oh, you know what? There is a third option. You can just, screw off. And I think like the 45 metric tons, the first offer, that was so stupid of them not to take. Like, I don't know how much it's necessarily worth, but 45 metric tons of dilithium. They said there's 6 factions. Use some of that to buy off 2 or 3 of the factions. There you go. Like, you're the next leader of the Breen Empire or Imperium.
Jonathan's thinking like a Ferengi. So Kevin made a little comment here that she spoke Breen. I don't know if she spoke Breen or understood it or whatever, but she did translate something much differently and more accurately at one point. So that all happened kind of fast. Jonathan, you saw it like 3 times. How did you read that part?
I loved it. So this is for me, a person who can understand conversational Greek much better than I'd speak it. When I worked in various retail stores, if I would heard people speak Greek, I wouldn't let them know immediately that I'd speak Greek. And if they said something nasty to me or about, the place of working, then I'd say oh, thank you and have a nice day in Greek to them. And I took that as oh, a perfect way. She's like, oh, I understand what's going on. And I'm not going to let you know that I understand what you're saying until you go and insult me. And then when she's insulted, she lets them know, I can understand what you're saying. And I deserve the respect. And then when she comes back with that final negotiation, she's like, we try to be reasonable with you. You rebuffed us, and now you've insulted us. So like, screw off. Like, I am above this. And it was a very strong show of power without any use of force at all.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah,
gonna go
I
down
was. Yeah, I was so shocked. I'm like, that's in my note. She speaks Breen. Like JJ, when you saw that, or when you saw Tarina, what were your thoughts?
My first thought was that she's very badass in a
Yes.
very professional sense. That scene was that part was actually my favorite part, when she actually spoke what he actually said, and like that immediately demanded respect from them, and I love that.
Yeah. All right. Well, next I felt Rainer. He is still like, what is going on with him? Has he not learned? He keeps going off, and Burnham's like excused him this time because he was just still. He's the Worf character. I feel like shoot first, ask questions later, and of course we're gonna have this typical character in any story because they are telling a story, I feel, about human nature. And he seems to have all of the negative human traits, like not understand. All Breen are the same. That is absolutely ridiculous. You deal on individual basis. Like, it's so ridiculous that it's like, okay, he's teaching us a lesson. So how did you feel that like Rainer fit in with this story? I just feel like he's getting so overused of negative human characteristics that it's like, okay, I get it. Christos, what are you feeling about Rainer?
A couple of things. First off, he's a bit overused, because if you think about it, when he's at the table with the president, and I don't think he would have had a seat at that table. Why wouldn't one of the other captains of the other starships be there? Somebody who's higher in rank. So he's obviously there because he's a paid actor, and they don't have to hire another actor. And that's the out of the real world reason. But I think you begin to see, like, when he starts to talk about how the Breen attacked his world, and the now you understand that he's been in a war with the Breen, and he knows what they're capable of. And that's obviously his motivation, his PTSD from that. And like many people here, who have fought in wars, you tend to then have this, you have this prejudice toward everybody of that race, and you've seen that from World War II and things like that. I remember my grandfather being quite prejudiced because he served in that world at war, and he just looked at it through that lens. So I think we understand now, because of what he reveals in the second half of the episode, a little bit more why he's being the way he is in the first half. But doesn't excuse it, but I think we understand it better.
I mean, he was so adamant, Jim, about, just don't trust the Breen. Like, he even referred to like Burnham with the Vulcan hello, like, you got to shoot first. Come on, you're understanding me. Come on, Burnham.
Oh yeah,
Jim, what do you think about Rainer?
Well, Rainer is one of my favorite characters this season, so I absolutely loved, even if it wasn't in the right direction, the character growth from this episode, because having Rainer, well, let's just say, hate the Breen for whatever his personal reasons, is just as great as anything else. And I agree with Christos about the whole PTSD thing, because my grandfather was the same way. So that's a perfect analogy.
Listening to Rainer talk and just like hate all Breen, it really reminded me of O'Brien with the Cardassians. Peter, did you get that vibe, or Jim?
Yeah, I thought that same thing in the episode.
Peter?
Yeah. For Rainer, for this episode, it's almost like harkens back to episode 1 and episode 2 of season 5 for him, because the last couple episodes he kind of became more of a leader. He was encouraging the bridge crew like Adira. So we started to see him evolve over the last couple of episodes. I think here it gave more of a backstory as to why he was the way he was when we first met him. I mean, we saw it, but we did, when we knew a little bit about the reasons why. But I think this episode provided more color as to why. So I guess we'll see. I mean, it sounded, whether the next three or, sort of the final, the stretch run of this season, to see whether he will sort of where he goes, whether he'll continue the way he was the last couple of episodes, which he kind of changes or accepts things more, or whether he will take a little bit more time to adjust, because maybe in real life it does take, time to adjust to, after such a traumatic event.
Right. So Cassie in the chat writes, interesting how Raynor was saying all Breen are the same. Then he was the one who knew Ruin's specific situation. Good job, Burnham, for talking to Raynor and getting that from him. So in the end, like, Raynor's situation really helped them come to this strategic move against the Breen. So JJ, how did you feel? Like, we needed him, or did we not need him?
I guess I have a little bit of a different perspective. Like, when I think of Raynor, I think he actually reminds me of Major Kira from Deep Space Nine, right? And I think one of the things that he is being used to convey is that the burn was really rough for the Federation. He's still trying to make sure that, people realize that we can't be complacent. We have to still protect ourselves, that the Breen are a threat. And I think he's right. They are 100% a threat, and he knows them better. And I was actually in a couple of scenes, I didn't think that people were taking him serious enough about the Breen threat. But I did thoroughly appreciate the fact that, Burnham took the time to understand, as what she does really well, right? She takes the time to understand the crew, understand their positions, understand the situation, and get their story, and kind of build that connection to figure out the next step, right? She's very talented with that skill set, which I think is one of the things that lends to how great the show is. But I think he's constantly reminding everybody that, hey, things have been really rough. It's not just immediately peaceful, right? There's still things that we have to be on our toes about, and that's how I see it, anyways.
Yeah, Raynor was significant, and even last week I remember Burnham taking the point and like talking to Raynor. Now, what is it really that you are having difficulty with? You're right. She does have this expert way of bringing out information and then being able to use it. Jonathan, how did you feel Raynor's role in this episode specifically was?
So part of it feels like a loss of the growth that you see in some of the previous episodes, but he's triggered because he's dealing with his, former nemesis in a way, which is what we've all been talking about here. JJ mentioned that it reminded him a little bit of Kira Nerys. It made me think a little bit of Picard the first time he interacted with the Borg after he got assimilated. It was like a little overblown and taken because it was personal to him, right? It was very personal to him. He said, like, you don't understand the Borg like I understand the Borg. And Raynor's basically saying, you don't understand the Breen like I know the Breen. Like, there is no negotiating with them. They don't care. And it's almost like these could be words coming out of Picard's mouth when talking about the Borg. So it just does go to show like that it is that personal damage and trauma. And he's not necessarily wrong, but he is wrong in the way he is become biased and can't see beyond his blinders, right? He's not wrong in saying like, well, you can't negotiate with them, but because they didn't really have a negotiation, right? They kind of presented him like an ultimatum situation. But he was completely wrong because he's blinded by his hate and his grief and his pain. And as Peter said, it'll be interesting to see where his character goes over these last few episodes. Are we going to see more of that personal growth come back and him end this series on a more balanced kind of place and not feel like he's just come back for this red directive mission to serve as, you know, the number 2 on the ship, when he's used to being completely in charge? Or are we going to, you know, see it go off a different way? I guess we'll find out in the next 3 episodes.
Yeah.
So Christos, he was very instrumental. Rayner was in, you know, we get the knowledge of Primarch Tahal, where she, you know, took over his world, and we learn all about her travesties. Like, it was his information that created this entire bluff for the Breen. So talk to me more about that.
First, one more little point about his, you know, growth. I like that actually he took a step back in this episode, or forward, because there's been a little criticism that he was all edgy in episode 1 and 2, and then he got demoted, and now he's been like falling into line really fast and becoming, you know, all touchy feely. So for him to actually take a step backwards and regress a little bit, that's a little bit more believable, that he, you know, you're not just going to like change overnight, and you're going to have your, you know, like you said, you get like Jonathan said, he got triggered, he fell backwards, and the big question will be, will he bounce back and get back on the right path, you know, or is he gonna, you know, end up doing something insubordinate, you know, because he doesn't agree with the way things are being handled? So, you know, to be continued there. I do like that because of the information, of course, he provides us. We also find out that information is instrumental in the big bluff, and without that, and it lends credibility for them to actually believe the bluff. So, you know, he actually has a major contribution there.
Yes, because the Breen were like, you don't know Primarch Tahal. She would never get with the Federation, in bed with the Federation. And then here comes Rayner, and like describing her. She named her ship after this, and like, and that's what added legitimacy to their bluff.
Yeah, she would not be caught dead.
I think that last sentence he says is what really sells it. Is that he killed everyone else in my family, but spared me because she liked the way I fought. Said it was like said that I fought like a Breen or something to that effect. I think that really sells it, because if they know her well enough, they're like, oh yeah, we could see her doing that. We could totally see her like, we'll spare that one because he fought with spirit and heart.
Hey, so Maul and Locke. I'm telling you, I love their story, you guys. What I loved about this was when Burnham was talking to them in sickbay after they beamed them on board, and she was like, who are you? Why are you so important? And you see it in other shows, but she was able to figure out just by looking at them and their glances of like, who are you? Are you the, you know, she doesn't guess nephew, but are you the cousin? Are you what? Who are you? Like, this development between Maul and Locke, and I just feel like their love is true because Locke has never experienced someone loving him for him despite who he is, like their differences. Like, Jim, how are you feeling about their love story?
I go back and forth on it. Sometimes depends on the episode. Sometimes I enjoy it. Sometimes I'm like, yeah. This time, I was kind of more leaning towards, yeah. Like, seriously, it kind of seemed like a poisonous relationship in this episode.
Well, but okay, so Peter, she gives herself up. She's like, I am going to, I want my last moments with Locke. I will surrender. Like, don't you feel that gives it true love vibes?
Yeah, I mean, I think for this episode, I got I guess a more positive view of their relationship, but probably more on the Locke side. I'm still not sure with the Maul. I'm not sure. The jury's still out a little bit on the Maul side. I mean, I think they both love each other, but I think after this episode, I felt Locke was a little bit more sympathetic character. So I was a little bit surprised / sad in which he, died. But then at the end, there was a little glimmer of hope because he may still be back. Like there may still be a science fiction, kind of like no one
one's
ever really
really
stays
dead.
dead in Star Trek. So,
Star Trek.
and I think I forgot who it was, Non or who said something all the way at the very end about reviving, using the progenitors' technology as a potential way to revive. So that's why I said, oh, okay, maybe he may be back, because I didn't think, I was a little surprised that that I thought he would last until until episode 10 anyway, and then we'll see what happens. So yeah, but I think I guess in the beginning, like in 1 and 2, I didn't the relationship kind of grew on me over the last 7 weeks. So so I think they do love each other. And I think with Mal kind of giving up her freedom, I guess with Book's help, and then going back to sick bay, I think that she wants to be there with him. So I think that was, kind of a sign also. So she didn't want to leave him alone at the end.
Yeah. So Christos, answer me this: do we need Locke alive? Because do we really need him alive?
Well, he seems to be important to the claim to, for the guy's claim to the throne. I heard one crazy fan theory online that she's pregnant with Locke's baby, and that's why she's going to be valuable to the Breen. That might be nuts, but the very soap opera. It is a little weird that episode 7 and he'd be dead already. So I don't think he's done. I kind of agree with Jonathan's comment earlier that he's the far more likable one of the two, and I kind of wish it had gone the other way around and maybe she died. I don't.
Yeah,
I do not. I do not like her.
Federation.
I do not like her, but I do like him. So there you go.
I mean, they
She
both
seems
come
hell-bent
from
on destroying the
dire
Federation, doesn't
situations. Jim, say that again.
I mean, she seems hell-bent on destroying the Federations, so much so to the point where she literally hands herself over to the Breen just so she can stick it to the Federation. She's definitely the unlikable one.
So, okay, I saw that as she is hell-bent, and I will agree with you. She's hell-bent, ride or die, but she wants to be with Locke. I don't feel like she's got it out for the Federation. I think she wants to be with Locke, and she will do anything and will protect him and his future. So, Jonathan, am I wrong? Or does she really want to get the Federation?
I don't really know what her true motives are. I am confused and want to definitely know more about the Breen history and hierarchy. How it is that having your nephew scrubbing the deck is what allows you to be the leader of the Breen Imperium. I'm not really understanding how that works, but I some countries and hierarchies are very weird, so I'd like to know more about how that supposedly works. The tattoo I thought was an interesting thing to show at the end, a way that they are united in marriage, but that's immediately thrown down and dismissed. Well, you'll never be accepted by our people. And my immediate thought is well, what difference would that make? Would she, if she was Breen, would she suddenly have that authority and power to grant someone the power to be the head of the Imperium, even though she's not of the bloodline, but because she married someone from the bloodline and then that person died? I mean, it would make sense if she is in fact pregnant, then I could see how that would work. But she then immediately tells them oh, well, there's this thing the Federation's hiding from you. I don't really get what her motivation is there, unless there is, this hinting here that she's going to try to use this to bring him back to life, because I'm sorry, he's dead. What are you going to do with his body at this point?
Christos?
I was going to get a little nitpicky here. They reveal early on, his Locke's different, the Breen's different heads, how he can make his head solid from the liquid form or whatever it is. But that's actually, it takes a lot of energy and it takes a lot of their effort to hold that form, very Odo-ish, So when he's mortally injured, I'm wondering how he's still holding that form.
Right.
Because he's supposed to be very weak and very basically dies with a solid head. So that was a little.
He's
thought I
holding
was
that form because
understanding.
he didn't want to do the special effects.
Well, you're giving the real world reason why he didn't. But I just thought it was another. I mentioned there's a few sloppy things in this episode, and I think that was another sloppy thing. But yeah, I mean, if she is pregnant, that's going to be very Dooney in this, in that thing. But they did say you'll never understand the Breen, like you'll never understand us. So to your points about like how their command structure or their hierarchy work and whatnot, maybe it is just supposed to be so bizarre, and we're not going to understand it because it's very different.
No, that goes to what Rainer and Torino is like. They'll never understand diplomacy. No, we will teach it to him. So the hubris that makes you think you will never understand me because I am wrong. That is 100% hubris. So JJ, when Maul was like, don't take him, the Federation is bad, they've got the progenitor, like she revealed all. I could not believe she did that. That was a twist because in my mind I'm like, Maul's gonna go with Burnham and Book and save the Federation, but JJ, this is not happening. She just ratted them out.
Yeah, so I genuinely think Maul is madly in love with Locke.
Yes.
But her actions are guided by emotions, right? Like she doesn't put a lot of thought. I mean, she's intelligent, right? She's really smart, but she didn't think proactively here, right? Like I think she's less likely to get Locke revived using the progenitor tech by going to, with the Breen than what she would have been if she went with the Federation, right? And what's interesting to me is right before like all that, they're like, we can't be caught by the Breen. We absolutely cannot be caught. And then she just goes with them. Like I don't understand the play there. I don't understand the path there. It doesn't quite make sense. So I think she's kind of like shooting herself in the foot there. Like she's kind of like hurting herself in a way.
But if she's pregnant, does that answer that question? I never even thought. You guys have
I don't think she knows the play.
Yeah, I don't think she's. I don't think she's got a fully healthy mind. So I wouldn't try to follow her logic. And rationale. There was one line in a different scene that I want to talk about. I don't know if you were planning on bringing up Jet Reno, but there's a throwaway line that's a joke that she used to be a bartender. You should try her 7 of lines. Okay, one, love it, great, beautiful line. But then it made me stop for a moment, and I'm like, wait a minute. The timeline here, the timeline. So am I to believe that they've gone back and studied 900 years of history and, or like, and 7 of 9, or like at 7 of 9, something particular about 7 of 9 that stands out in that 900 years of history? Or maybe Jet Reno was just looking for, other famous Starfleet lesbians and came across 7 of 9 when she's with Rafi. I don't know. Like, I'm trying to figure out how it is that Jet Reno, and apparently 7 of 9 is so well known enough that or wait, no, I had the timeline even screwed up because she said that she did the bartending before she was in the Federation. So yeah, I don't get that. The 7 of 9.
It's just. I think it's just. It's there for us in the audience as a wink, wink kind of thing. She did not know 7 of 9, probably doesn't even know who she is. You're right. It was, over 100 years before Voyager that Disco goes to the future. And, but, I do have the recipe though for the 7 of 9 if you need.
And that has been posted in our Discord. And I was hoping we would all have one, but I do not.
I will admit, I laughed my ass off at the 7 of Limes line.
Yeah. Kevin points out pretty convenient that she was an expert on antiquated books. And She also
Well, she
had a
wasn't though.
line.
She wasn't though. She just gave like I think any rational person would have thought, wait, if you're trying to preserve something, like I immediately thought museum, right? Museum. Does she just happen to know about the special? What is it called? The Galactic Archive and Art
Yeah.
Gallery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Is that what it's called?
Eternal. I think Eternal Gallery.
Eternal,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Eternal.
Yeah.
Which is a beautiful name for it. You know, I like that they said that it moves to stay safe, but then they mention it stays in the same place for 50 years. I'm like, well, that doesn't sound that safe to me. I feel like you should be moving a little more often than that.
Okay,
but what if
Christos?
she knows? What if she knows Pelia? Because Pelia is an
I was
engineer
gonna say-
and the antiquities, and they're from the same timeline. So maybe she knew Pelia, and that would as engineers, and maybe there's a linkage there.
Yeah, I was gonna say I heard that theory that that she'd originally been the antiquities person, and she only got into engineering because she somehow knew Pelia.
Yes. Okay. So yes. Yeah, that eternal. And that sort of Booker had that premonition of I'm getting this feeling of eternity. And so now we get that.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the clue. Labyrinths of the Mind, a Betazoid manuscript. Hello. Thank you very much. And the Dr. Marina. Thank you for Marina Sirtis, Deanna Troy. We can all, she's my favorite. In case you didn't know, she's my favorite character. So, Christos, talk to me about Labyrinths of the Mind and this Betazoid manuscript. How did you feel this unraveling came through?
You know, I don't have a ton to say on that because it's a bit of a mystery still. I like that it was revealed that the year it was written, and that was at either 2370 or 71 or whatever. And I think that, you know, I just think it's weird that it hits right in that would have been right after season 6, right after, you know, when the progenitors and all that were discovered. But like, how does it fit in? I don't know. It's interesting, and we know she was a Beta Z scientist, right? So, but I don't know. The fact that they can't find this manuscript anywhere is interesting. I don't know. I think it's next week's episode, to be honest with you.
Yeah. So, and JJ, Reno said that she had contacts from like 800 years old. Is she human?
Daisies.
Or
Well,
is she
It would have
really
been.
old?
I think that was because they're 800 years in the future, right? And so they'd be pushing up daisies now.
Oh.
So yeah.
Okay, that's making sense now.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I did kind of want to comment on the one line that
Yes.
Reno said that Adira made that comment that, oh, you were pretty busy, and she says, oh yeah, that type of busy. That was so funny.
She's like, yeah, I meant that too.
Yeah.
That's right. Work it, girl. I got it.
Yep.
Yes. Now this was just a little contrived with Stamets realizing, oh, Beta Z, they feel things. What did you say? You felt something? I just felt like that was a little contrived, but I did appreciate getting Book to, use his superpowers. I know that's not what they're called, but and to describe it and make a connection with this library card. Thoughts on that?
Actually, related to Book, I felt this episode and a little bit like the last episode. It's almost like he was almost trying to find things to do, or they were trying to put the character into scenes. So I think, the first couple episodes, I think we've talked about this a few weeks ago, in which, between him and Michael, they were almost like the leads for the beginning of the quest. But the last couple of episodes, he was, trying to. I remember last week there was the scene with Culber. This week there's the one, several scenes with Stamets and Maul. So So I don't know. I guess his character, similar to Rainer in a way, in which the character is kind of evolving throughout the season, and so this way he's doing different things. But but I did like you said, I did like how he was important in giving Stamets the clues of the library card and what it means. And it also was a nice way to sort of bring back sort of book from last season, in which or season 3 and season 4, in which his skills or his kind of come into play. So that was good. But it'll be interesting, again, similar to what we said earlier with Mal. It'll be interesting to see how his character over the next the last couple of episodes will be, whether he how they're going to handle that.
Right. So, Jonathan, with Stamets, he was so focused on, no, you can't do this book. You need to, the mission is the most important. Like, I felt like he was a little over the top, but how did you feel like that whole Stamets, like he just seems too focused? I don't know.
I think we're seeing a lot in this season, hearkening back to the very beginning. And I think that's part of it here. We're seeing Stamets, he was started off as this really like rough kind of character. We're seeing him kind of do a little bit more of that recently. And I think it's because he's lost his purpose in a way, or he's about to lose his purpose with the Spore Drive going to be decommissioned. He doesn't have this as a project that was going to be installed on every single ship. They're not farming the mycelium network as far as I'm aware. So I think maybe that's why we're seeing him get a little bit more gruff, for lack of a better phrase. What bothered me with the library card is it's very intricate, and I feel like, I don't know, any card has some information on it, and this is made in metal. Maybe it's like worn off because it's 900 years old or whatever, or 800 years old. But isn't the information on there tell you the name of the library? Like that this is a library card and the name of the library, and obviously it'll tell it what vault, but that specific thing will matter once they actually get there. But I feel like that at first, once they mention, oh, like this is a library card, I'm like, well, shouldn't that be very clear from looking at it?
Did anyone get the Picard calling card? Season 2.
Season 2. Yeah, I had the same. The Q. It was the Q. That was used.
I'm like, can I call the number? Will it be Q? So, Christos, what did you feel about this whole clue process of this episode?
I mean, it tracks with what we've been seeing all season, and it's funny. I did like how Stamets was like the only one who really seemed to be worried about the mission. Like, hey, we are trying to do that, remember? And everyone else is worried about the Breen. And but yeah, I felt like it was a really good way that on the back, you had the Breen storyline with Burnham and all them handling that, and you had Stamets doing this. And by the end of the episode, okay, we've got it figured out. We know where we're going. And now we know what episode 8 is going to be. So it is really kind of been this scavenger hunt kind of season. And I like it.
Yeah. Anything else with the clue?
And I think next week, I think the title of the episode is Labyrinths as well. So, and I think this is the last... This is like the last piece of that puzzle, right? That's number 5. Yeah. So I think we were saying last week, it could be that the next, see episode 8, they get that last piece, and then 9 and 10 will be sort of like the sort of the resolution climax, the big fight, or all of the above to close out the story. So, but they've been kind of moving along and having pace. I think I know in past seasons, sometimes we talk about whether if there's sort of a, middle of the season, sometimes it's kind of a extra scenes or, filler, as sometimes people say. But this, I don't know, so far I hadn't gotten that strong of an impression that we've had that type of scenes. I think like a lot of the scenes have been pretty, they've all been kind of important in their own way in the different storylines. I guess you have all these different balls they're just trying to juggle. And so they've been putting a lot of scenes into all these different arcs that's going on. So that's been pretty good. Yeah.
No, I agree with you. I feel like I said, the past couple of episodes were a slump, but this one, like, the pacing was right on. Every story was great. So I want to know, like, what do you feel, or what do you want to see that's going to happen? What hasn't happened? I'm just going to jump on and say I'm still waiting to see the connection between Book and Maul. I want to see that develop more. We understand there's this apprentice child, blah, blah, blah. You're the last person of Quajon that I know. I need to see that a little bit tighter and connected, because I need to see Maul come over to Federation side. I know.
So you need him. You need him to redeem her. Like,
yeah. And so that's what, and they keep pushing it off week after week. And I am like salivating to get this Maul and Book story. All the others are coming along fine. So that's still my one desire. JJ, what are you hoping for next week?
Well, I want to see this library. This library thing sounds pretty interesting. I'm wondering if it's going to be that easy that the clue is actually with the manuscript in this vault thing or whatever, or if it's going to be something more elaborate. I'm hoping it's something more elaborate. But I do want to see, like, I know I was a little nervous about, because they've had a lot of references about the spirituality throughout the season, and I do want to see where they're taking that. I want to see how that relates and how they're looking at the progenitors, and because I rewatched pretty much all the episodes this week, so I definitely want to revisit that and see, where that's going. But yeah, as for Maul and Locke, I want to see Locke survive. I feel like he grounds Maul, and I do like their relationship. I understand that they both have had, they've come from some very violent past. They've had a horrible experience, but they found each other, right? Like, and there's a romanticism about that, right? That it's just like they found their person and they're making their trek through this world. So I want to see Locke survive, and I want to see how that goes out. The Book and Maul story, I feel like that's a little forced. I think that on Book's behalf, so I don't want to see that, but I do want to see Maul and Locke.
Well, Jim says since they're going to the Badlands, he wants to see either Bajor or ancient DS9. So, Jonathan, what are you looking forward to?
Well, I don't think you're going to get any more story on Book and Maul. I could be wrong. I don't think that's going to happen. I would be favorable to see Locke come back, and the only way in my mind at this point that Maul can justify or clear her record would be if she sacrifices herself to bring back Locke, and then that allows Locke to somehow become like the leader of the Breen Imperium. Then that would clear her record and all her undoing and all their chaos that they've caused. Whether or not that's going to happen, I don't know. I am really excited for next week's episode because of the archive, right? So that they can be really creative and playful, and we've seen what they've done in each of the various series that have featured something like this. In TNG, we saw the Collector and what kind of artwork he had. You saw in Lower Decks, the Collector episode was really well done. So I'm really curious to see how this is done. Also in Picard, we saw a version of like a storage. So we got to see the various types of artifacts. So I think it'll be very playful and interesting to see what kind of artifacts we get to see, even though in theory you shouldn't see anything other than the one you're just going to pull out of your little vault. But I have a feeling that, they'll paint a nice little picture for us, and we'll get to see some callbacks that, will be teasers, I think, for some folks that are really paying attention. It'll be one of those scenes I think you'll go back and like rewind a couple times, like, wait, is that what I thought it was?
Easter eggs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I have two predictions.
Okay.
Whatever progenitor power is going to end up being, it's going to get sacrificed because it's going to be too much for anybody to have.
Mm.
And I also predict that Rayner is going to go be the way of Shaw and die.
Oh, I'd be okay with that. Peter, what about you?
Couple quick things. Yeah, I think Locke is coming back, so I don't think that we've seen the last of him. I think I think that, I guess, like the happy ending. I think there might be like a redemption, some type of redemption scene, but it'll probably be like, the tail end of episode 10, in which sort of wrapping things up, in which she'll help. I think actually, I mean, the two things that I'd like to see but I think we will see, kind of Saru and Tarina, because there was the whole wedding that was
Yes, we
discussed
need
at the
wedding.
beginning. Yeah, but we really hasn't touched about that over the last few episodes. So, but I think they'll be coming back. So we want to see that. And then, Owo and Detmer, they've been away for most of the season. So I like to have them at least come back, by the end. So it's kind of like a way to sort of wrap up and come full circle with with the Discovery crew. So yeah, but I think it's the momentum. I think it's still pretty strong with what they've done this season. So yeah, looking forward to to the next few weeks then.
Very good. Okay. Any
What do you think, Amy?
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
already said mine. I was gonna say something a little mean, but I mean, because
Go
Peter,
ahead.
going off of what you were saying, like with Detmer and Owo, and yeah, they have just excused them, and what, they're gonna bring them in, and we're gonna say goodbye to them. I feel manipulated by that, and so I don't want to see it, but I do want to see them one last time. But I don't think they should bring them back because they've dismissed them.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah,
do
just-
not appreciate that. And
One thing
I
that-
have these new people. I don't know who you are.
Yeah, you don't really know them. We don't have the connection because they've only been there for the last
Yeah.
couple of weeks. So it's kind of odd, that whole
They've
part
done
of
them wrong.
the show.
You got the beta shift.
Right? Yeah.
Lower Decks got brought up.
See, that's because we're not on the Enterprise D, the flagship of the Federation, where the best of the best go.
I think you need to remind yourselves that episodes 1 through 10 of season 5 were never meant to be the end of the show.
I know.
And only the epilogue was filmed with it knowing it was going to be the tight. I know there were even some of the actors who were unavailable for the epilogue. So it's going to be, we'll have to see how the next few play out. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you, everyone, for joining us on this Friday evening to talk about Discovery. And thank you to all of those in the chat. We have loved seeing your comments come through. So let's go around. And I know how Davey is so expert at this. I'm going to do this. So, Christos, tell us, where can we listen to you and where can we continue our discussion?
Well, first, you can find me in Facebook in the BQN Collective. You can find me on Discord. You can find me on All Good Things with Amy and Mark. And, we have so many people. Kelvin. So that's I'm on that podcast, and I also do What's the TBev here on BQN, and you can also find me on Instagram at What's the TBev.
Okay, Davey, how do you do this? How do you get to the next person? Do you know, Christos?
Hold on.
Do I have to change views again?
I think you do.
Okay, all right, Jonathan. Where can people find you?
People can find me on Facebook. I'm in the BQN Facebook group. Also, I'm just listed there as Jonathan Michael Snow.
Yes. Very good. And Peter?
Sure. We could find me on Twitter. My handle is at PeterTrek1, the number 1. I'm also on the Trek Book Club, which is a member of the BQN podcast network now, and you can find me there at Trek Book Club. So great.
And when is our next book coming up? Our discussion online.
Yeah, the discussion. Well, there will be the next discussion will be actually next weekend
Right.
of the Genesis Wave Book 2. A couple months ago, we discussed Genesis Wave Book 1, and there was a lot of interest in discussing Book 2. I think people, including myself, people want to know what happened, so we'll be discussing there. But the next sort of book that is not part of a series will be at the end of June, in which it will be DS9's The Long Night, which is one of the earlier books sort of that takes place during the show. So a standalone book. So for more information, it's at Trek Book Club, and also on Discord, there's a channel, which, like the hashtag Trek Book Club. And I'm starting to sort of post information, just, FYI stuff. And, so there's another resource available. So feel free to just, chime in or just post anything related
and
to
Christos,
books.
you had the book?
Oh, actually, I it's book 1. I thought I had book 2 over there. But
Oh, darn it.
That's
I
right.
don't have hardback for book 2.
Okay.
Okay, great. Yeah, great. So so we'll be talking about that one.
Okay. JJ, where can people find you?
I am on Facebook. I am in the BQN group, and I am on Discord, and you can find me on jenadiah.com.
Yes. And you are donning your amazing badge. So, yes. Well, okay. Oh, now I need to get me here. Well, you can find me here on the network, as Christos says, co-hosting All Good Things with him, Calvin, Kristen, and Mark. I'm also on Union Federation, analyzing the new Star Trek. I am favorite place, Discord, and also on our BQN Facebook group. So thank you. Now, listen, if you want to join this amazing discussion, you can do that spending $1 a month, BQN, at our patreon.com/BQN. Sign up now. And you can join us next week. Well, that is all the time we have. Next week, Labyrinths. I'm hoping some Beta Z, more information gets to come out with that. And so until then, make sure you live long and prosper.